Can I please welcome Dolly Singh, content creator, actor, and storyteller in conversation with Arun Srinivas, managing director and country head, Meta India. Thank you. Over to you, Arun. Thanks.
So I'm thrilled to be joined by someone who's not only entertained millions, but also redefined what it means to be a digital-first storyteller in India. From starting out with relatable sketches on everyday life to becoming one of India's most loved creator voices, Dolly Singh embodies the evolution of India's creator economy. Today we'll talk about how creators are moving from content to commerce and how platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp are opening up real economic opportunities. Dolly Singh is a trailblazing content creator, actor, and storyteller who's redefined digital comedy in India. Widely loved for her iconic characters, especially the unforgettable South Delhi girl. I also want to ask you why you're not doing a West Delhi girl, but we'll talk about that.
We did it.
Yeah. Dolly blends wit, relatability, and social commentary to create content that resonates with millions. Currently, the face of Colgate Visible White, O2, Dolly has also collaborated with leading brands such as Maybelline, Samsung, IKEA, Jockey, Tresemme, becoming a trusted name for both audiences and brands alike. Breaking new ground in digital storytelling, Dolly is the first comedy creator in India to have launched a branded Instagram rom-com series, Best Worst Date, now in its third season. Recently honored as the Storyteller of the Year, Dolly continues to push the boundaries of creativity by experimenting with new formats, original IPs, immersive narratives, proving that there's much more to content than just followers and platforms. Most notably, she became the first Indian creator to win the Instagram Rings Award. Please a big round of applause. A global recognition from Instagram, from Meta, which celebrates creators who take creative risks and shape culture in unique ways. Can I have the intro video on the screen, please?
Mundala Kudiyo, boys and girls, DJ Sands presents.
सुनीता मेरा जेट निकाल दो थैंक यू
हेलो फ्रेंड्स, चाय पी लो। गरीबों में हमने शनेल के परफ्यूम्स, डियोर के बैग्स और बिग चिल के डब्बे बांटे थे।
मेरा पहला और आखिरी प्यार सिर्फ मैं हूँ।
बेबी ब्रेकअप हो जाएगा आज रात।
Give it to me, daddy.
Give it to me.
My name is Angel Priya.
Hi, Babu.
Do not बाबू मी।
अम्मा जी को तो वैसे भी मैं रोज कैल्शियम के नाम से नींद की दवाई दे ही देती हूँ।
सब एक साथ गेम्स खेलते हैं, बॉन्डिंग एक्सरसाइज।
चप्पल फेंकूंगी यहीं से।
वेलकम टू इतिहास से एहसास।
नहीं मैं नहीं हूँ यार ठीक आपने मेरे को इतना से घाघरा क्यों भेजा यूल बॉल के लिए
फेवरेट कलर बता दे।
Red, बिंदी के जैसे।
ये तो शर्म आ गई।
पहले रेड फ्लैग्स नहीं दिखती थी अब चीजें आई थिंक आई नीड टू टेक यू टू अ डॉक्टर इट वाज लाइक ब्यूटीफुल इन वर्ल्ड लैंग्वेज
So the back.
he is cute
हैं?
who cancelled
Who's cute?
मैं मैनिक पिक्सी ड्रीम गर्ल नहीं, मैं हूँ उसकी ऑपोजिट, द डिप्रेस्ड एंग्स्टी रियलिटी गर्ल।
one thing for joy everyday day 15 क्या करें हम
Morning walk कर रहे हैं. But opposites attract.
एंड ऑपोजिट्स अटैक।
Wow. Okay.
रात को लोगों के घरों में घुस के उनका खून चूस लेता है।
Awesome. So, Dolly, I want to start with you because your journey really mirrors how I would say Instagram in this country has grown. So, you've been creating content in India since the very beginning. What drew you to the space, and did you ever think that this would be a real career option?
Thank you, Arun. First of all, I would like to address that watching your own video like this is quite embarrassing. Great question. Yes, I agree. I think I've grown up with the internet. All millennials would sort of agree to that. We have seen it, come to life, and then now we feel, in fact, sometimes too old for it. I started with watching a bunch of content, when I was young, when I was in college, internet was just coming up. And I was watching so much on my phones. We were getting all those, trying to get all the internet packs in our phones. Wi-Fi wasn't even there at the point. And I remember just starting to watch video content on my phone and connecting with it so much. Those vines and memes and little videos that would make rounds that you would save and then share with your friends through pen drives and like Bluetooth and whatnot. And I remember I've always been drawn to media since I was a kid, like television, radio, anything of that sort. And I think there was a part of me just wanted to be famous or wanted to be in front of the camera in some way, form or the other. Acting was a huge part of it, but I was a very shy, introverted person growing up, so I just never could voice it out or be that person. I think the access to internet and access to camera phones really changed that and really gave all of us an opportunity to just start sort of documenting ourselves, as vain as it may be. And for me also, I think I was reading so many blogs at the time, and a fashion blog for me became sort of my entryway. I started with that. I would write a blog back when we used to read. And then, it quickly changed to videos and so much of video content everywhere that obviously as someone who had just started to create, for me also that urge to make videos did come in, and that push was definitely there. And we started with, I started with a bunch of fashion hauls and easy videos like that. But then came in the comedy like an accident, even for myself. I was surprised, but we started with a bunch of character work, South Delhi Girls, like Arun mentioned, and we did do West Delhi Girls as well. I was not part of it, but we did do that. And a bunch of other characters that I would do. And yeah, I think my life changed from there. So what drew me was definitely the attention, I guess, that it was getting. And what now makes me thrive on it is the passion that I have developed for it over the years, for sure.
No, that's amazing, and I think you should take a lot of credit. While you can say that you just followed the whole video trend, etc. I think you were one of the early trendsetters. I can say this with certainty that while platforms like Instagram have almost grown immensely in size over the last 5 years, especially during the pandemic, but I think you were very much there, well before that. And I think characters like Raju Ki Mummy and Guddi Bhavi became so popular because they felt real. What do you think connected with people, and how did that shape you as a creator? And let's see one reel here, before you really answer this. Yeah. Can we have the next reel, please? Yeah.
I would like to hide my face till then.
No, it's not your face, right? It's
Guddi Bhavi. It's Guddi Bhavi. It's not me.
शादियों में हम काला चश्मा लगाते हैं ताकि आंखों में कचरा न जाए, पर तुम उसी कचरे को सर आंखों पे बिछा लेते हो. देखो जी, I know all you people love weddings. I used to be same, vainly before divorce. After divorce, I am still same. फर्क सिर्फ इतना है कि पहले मैं किसी के घर की दाल थी, जहाँ जीरे जैसा कीड़ा मेरा हब्बी था. अब मैं वापस डब्बे पे आ गई हूँ. कल मैं किसी के दाल पकवान में मिल जाऊँ, दाल बाटी चूरमा बन जाऊँ, मुरादाबादी दाल बन जाऊँ, या गुड ओल्ड दाल खिचड़ी. पॉसिबिलिटीज आर एंडलेस. वैसे भी हम सिंगल्स ना शादियों में स्टार्टर्स की तरह एक प्लेट से दूसरी प्लेट पे फुदकते रहते हैं. होती हैं शादियाँ सिंगल्स का ब्रीडिंग ग्राउंड, जहाँ पे हॉर्नीनेस और गॉसिप पनपता है. और ऐसे में वो कहावत कि अ क्रश इज जस्ट लैक ऑफ इन्फॉर्मेशन कुछ याद नहीं रहता, क्योंकि कोरियोग्राफी के स्टेप्स तो याद रखने होते हैं. कैसे था छोटू? बचते ही मैं होकर रूप धारण कर लेती हूँ, और ओपन बार से तो मैं भी ओपन हो जाती हूँ यार. उसके बाद तो दुल्हन की टॉक्सिक मौसी का छोटा बेटा टिम्मी, वो भी हॉट लगने लगता है. नहीं, बस 4 दिन की चांदनी के बाद जब चमकती धूप में वापसी होती है ना, तो उसी टिम्मी की टांगें एक्स्ट्रा पतली, उसकी इंग्लिश एक्स्ट्रा कमजोर, और उसकी गर्दन का टैटू एक्स्ट्रा टैकी लगने लगता है. इसलिए तुम्हें शादी सीजन में वार्निंग देने आई हूँ गाइस. ना तेरा ना मेरा, ना तेरा ना मेरा. योर ड्रंक RN babe, he ain't that hot, just wait for the Savera. चीनी का मैं छोटू.
Awesome. So that's what's, I think, like when you look at the, montage there, I think that's what's really special about Indian creators. It's all rooted, I guess, in colloquial culture. And how are you really turning this, into how you really connect with people? So what's your take on this?
I think, Arun, for me, when we started doing characters, my strengths came in. I've always been very observant. I think that comes in when you're a shy, introverted person who doesn't really talk in group settings. So I would just like to observe, and I think all my observations came to life and started to come to life with the characters that I did. I started with Raju Ki Mummy, which is very much inspired from my own mother, as much as she would like to deny it. and then Goody Bhabhi, and there were a bunch more which were rooted in the kind of people I met, and especially the women I met, I would say. And most of these women characters are like very funny, very upfront, and they're flawed, but they're also very real. You would say that, okay, yeah, this humor is exaggerated, but at the same time, you would have met someone or the other who resembles this personality, right? So I think what I saw on the internet was this demand for characters or people who you could connect with and relate with, and I think that's what pushed social media to the way it is now, that there's so much power, because the relatability, the connecting factor is so much stronger than any sort of celebrity culture. And that's what I also played with, and most of my characters have always been sort of rooted in someone or the other that I met and got inspired from.
Awesome. And not just culture, right? So I think apart from what you said, there's also food, fashion, festivals. We see a lot more stuff. And how do you really see culture, community, and commerce coming together?
I think what internet has also really nicely done is shown that our diversity is definitely a strength. Like, I see so much variety in terms of content everywhere, right? Like, in terms of, okay, Navratris are happening, there is so many ways of celebrating it around our own country. And I think, we were not very aware of it growing up, and we couldn't really see, and there wasn't much representation with all of it. But now on the internet, we see so much of that variety and diversity and cultural differences, yet what unifies us. And that USP has become, our strength right now, and social media has become that mirror of our society. And I think we have found a great way to use it commercially as well. Brands are sort of leaning in and discussing these opportunities and ways of showing this cultural diversity along with their brand and their products, right? They don't want to shy away from it. They are, moving into, okay, we want to talk about our product, but we want to want you to talk about it in a way that you would want to talk about it, showing your culture, showing your differences, showing where you come from, your roots and everything else. So I think that way, that diversity of our country has really, really helped that, and there's so much talent in our country. And actually, I would like to turn that question around to you, Arun. How do you think that has helped, since you're on the platform sides of it? How do you think all of this has come together, our culture, community, and commerce now?
See, I think if I look at Instagram, right, I mean, like, so firstly, we really say internally that we have three sets of, I would say, constituents that we cater to. One is creators like you. Two is, of course, all our users, I'm sure, like many in the audience and outside. And the third is businesses, right, which obviously, advertise on our platform. In some sense, Instagram brings these three constituents together, and we've seen, obviously, the platform grow immensely in scale, where I think it's now the single largest. India is, of course, the single largest market for all the apps, be it Facebook, Instagram, or WhatsApp. But within India as well, I think Reels is the #1 short-form video platform. So we are also, I think, with the scale we have across our creator community, our business community, and the users, India is becoming a test bed, for a lot of things end to end. So, for example, I don't know, I mean, for some of you in the audience, you may already have seen this. So we actually have a Reels first, a tab which opens when you open Instagram. Like, typically it opens in feed. We are actually testing this out to understand, because, what we notice today is Indians, like what you said, we don't like to read, we love to watch. So, it's rooted in our culture, be it Bollywood music videos, be it cricket, etc. So there are more Indians watching anything, anytime, the only, I think, the other country which comes close is Brazil. We all love to watch, so be it OTT, whatever else, right? So I think we are a viewing country first, and therefore, obviously, apps like Instagram really take to the fore. So I think, the next, I would say, set of tools that we would ideally like is for creators like you to really then figure out who your followers and audiences are, and how you can actually either enable commerce for your own, let's say, brands that you create, or equally, help in you becoming the face of brands like you have done and really get businesses to do. That's really how we see it. Okay, now let me make a sharp pivot to your micro drama series. I don't know, again, how many of you know this? This is the other big trend, which is globally, what everyone's watching now is really what we call micro drama, which means episodes are less than 10 minutes long. So this is already a huge thriving industry in the East Asian side, so be it Korea, Japan, etc., China. Indians, in fact, watch a lot of dubbed content, and of course, creators like Dolly are now putting out original content there. And equally incidentally, many of these also travel westwards, right? This industry, which frankly didn't exist, let's say, till 2 years ago in India, is expected to become a $10 billion industry by 2030. So, how do you think, with, let's say, this trend is out there, we are seeing this globally, how do you think creators like you, or equally brands in India or businesses in India can build something meaningful and long-lasting?
I think in your question is the whole aspect of why I think they work. They are long-lasting and meaningful, where I feel like a lot of us in the last few years have gotten swayed by the viral factor, and we want to just go viral in a day, and goes for creators and goes for brands as well. Everybody wants a viral video. What they don't realize is that the viral video is not very sustainable. It'll get you amazing number of views for the first few days, and of course, maybe a lot of people will suddenly know you and follow you and everything else. But to sustain that virality is where the whole game is, and that is the most difficult part. And for brands as well, I think sometimes, yes, their videos can go viral and create an impact, but it's so short-lived. And for them as well, the whole game is to make it possible for it to be sustained for a much longer period, for people to remember the name and the product, and not just that viral moment and then forget it the next day when another viral thing shows up, right? And I feel like microdramas, given that they are essentially long-form content sort of given in short dosage, that I feel that it's easier to create that impact. It's much more smarter way of integration of the products. It's much more rooted in the story, and it's not just an ad popping up on our feeds, which is, happening. And obviously the consumers are getting annoyed by that. Everywhere we see our ads, or not just our social media, but on OTT platforms and everywhere else. So as audiences, everything we do is to avoid the ads, is to get higher subscriptions, or just like swipe, roll up and, go on with the scrolling. So I feel like the audiences also deserve better. They deserve better integrations and ads, and they deserve content that is watchable and enjoyable and something that they will take back. I always say this, that I want to make content which is not a part of your doom scrolling, which takes you away from that doom scrolling and makes you think a little bit, or gives you a bit of feeling or giddiness, or something that you can take back and sit with for a little bit, and takes you out of that algorithm or out of that scrolling habit. And I think for brands as well, being a part of something like that creates a much more memorable impact. I think the audiences are also happier to see those forms of integrations, and they in fact, on so many ads these days, audiences are writing, what a smart ad, what a witty ad, we want to see more of these. In fact, we're missing all those 90s creative ads right now, right? And I feel like microdramas are a way where you can talk about products without them feeling very in your nose sort of way. And I think they're a great opportunity for brands and creators both to realize that it's always better. And I know Gen Zs and the coming audiences are notorious for, having short attention spans and everything, but I do feel they always crave for something meaningful. They always crave for something long-lasting. And if they get it, they'll be very happy. So I think we should all sort of work towards it. I do urge that to the brands as well, that it's not about how many views the video got in the first 24 hours. It's about how many people are going to talk about it, in the coming days. It's much more slower than that, because real life is still slower, I guess, a little bit, right? Do you agree, Arun?
No, I fully agree. And in that context, let's see the best worst date reel, please.
जब तक गाड़ी आती है तो फिर हम पैदल क्यों?
27 questions to deepen you want.
मैं बस देखना चाहता था कि ये यूनिवर्स तुम्हारे साथ कैसा दिखेगा.
बहन, chick hunting, aka bird watch.
फिर से किसी लड़के के लिए खुद को नहीं चेंज कर सकती.
can't do this, yaar. Whoa.
अगर मैं किसी आदमी के साथ 2 मिनट से ऊपर बैठूं तो मुझे भागने का मन करता है.
But we failed the compatibility test.
So clearly, I mean, it's amazing to see, like how these organic stories have really evolved into something which is going to be a whole industry which is really built on creativity and community. And on that count, I mean, I just want to say I fully agree. In fact, one of the things we're also trying to do on your previous point on brands using, finding the right creators, for example, to speak about their products, etc. We've launched something called the Instagram Creator Marketplace, which is almost like, think of it as a, equivalent of a Netflix with all the shows. You have a Instagram hub for the business where they can see all the creators saying who's beauty, who's fashion, who's food, etc. And figure out again, saying I want somebody only in South Delhi, for example, or Tamil Nadu. Who do they tie up with? So these are, I guess, some of the tools that will, help, I guess, build bridges truly between businesses and creators. Okay, now let's, segue to something larger. Now you've seen it all, as I said, obviously, many, I'm sure, aspiring creators would die to be in your shoes. You've started creating for fun, and now it's really become a big business, that you run yourself. So how do you think, when you look at the landscape, how do you think things have changed for creators in India and the creator economy?
Exponentially. I think from when I started, it was so hard to even explain to people what we did. My parents would constantly ask me, video मतलब क्या मतलब उससे मतलब पैसा कैसे आता है तो व्यू पे आता है like it was so hard to explain to them how it worked. Yeah. And to other people, and then it would just be a very difficult job to talk about because half the people would just not get it. Now I feel it has changed so much in the last few years. Now everybody wants to be a creator. We've seen so many creators, especially during the pandemic. There was such a surge of creators everywhere. Everybody was making content. They got the free time. And I feel I'm so proud of it. We've come a long way from people sort of looking down at the whole creator economy and being like, this is not serious. And to now really taking it seriously and taking that opportunity up. I think we've also been given such amazing talented creators within our country as well. During the pandemic, I saw so many talent people come up with their content. And I think the economy as well has been taken a lot more seriously. We are obviously the marketing budget, big spends are happening in this industry, and we can see there is so much opportunity here. And I think with Indian creator economy on focus, I feel there has been so much that has surprised even myself. I didn't think that content which is not in English or goes to all the vernacular, from different languages and different regions and cultural aspects and lives which are completely unseen would also get that sort of recognition and sort of viewership and audience. I feel like now everything has an audience. You should not even feel like, how am I going to start and what am I going to do? Because everything really does have an audience. And I think that's how it has changed. There is just so much opportunity there. I do urge people to really think about it though, because I feel like there is still a lot of people who think, I'm just gonna try it, like it's so easy, it looks so easy. What do? You just stand in front of a camera and just like shoot a 30-second video. Of course, some days it can be easy, but it's difficult to sustain it. And I think people sometimes don't see that far when they see it as an opportunity. That's the only thing I feel like can be short-sighted. But it's growing so well. I'm really proud of it because I'm a part of the community. So as a veteran now, I feel really proud to see the growth. Yes. But I would like to, at this point, ask you a question, Arun. Of course, on social media, we see so many entrepreneurs who are using all the platforms, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, to get viewership, get consumers, and even sometimes get a new, generate a revenue stream for themselves. So as a platform, from Meta's perspective, what are you doing to drive that digital-led, growth in our economy right now, and what kind of trends are you seeing today?
I think, so firstly, like I think one is India is pretty digitally savvy. We see that across not just on our apps, but right from a street vendor or a chai wala or a pan wali, literally, picking up UPI and really navigating day-to-day life there, right? So firstly, I think there's been a real shift, and obviously there's a lot of effort, I'm sure, in getting up the infrastructure, from the government side. I think what we are very happy to see is, I think we have we have millions of small businesses on our platform. In some sense, their storefront, or their digital store, call it what you like, is really, thrives on both Facebook, Instagram, or even WhatsApp in some cases. So you have all kinds of businesses, so it could be a tuition teacher trying to look for new kids. It could be a small artisan trying to sell kalamkari saris, etc. It could be a network of women who are actually trying to sell handicrafts, etc. Let's say they pick up from rural. So you have, we see this in all forms and shapes. As I said, somebody who's an individual entrepreneur, somebody who's part of a, let's say, network which was physical, but has moved digital, etc. And equally, a lot of young people are obviously fueling this. But what's also heartening is even the older ones, let's say, have already set up a bakery and now trying to say, how do I get more orders online? Recently, for example, one of the most, anecdotal again, but one of the most heartwarming stories I heard from a Crawford Market store owner in Bombay, who sells burqas and lungis, and actually now said that, jab se main, Facebook or Instagram pe, I started advertising. Because, the other thing is, while people have a storefront, there's still a lot of, I would say, how do I put it, myths or worries on, oh, I don't know whether the ad will go to the right person. I don't know that it'll get served to the right person. How do I know that, I'll get return? Because most of these are typically shop owners, right? They don't even want to understand things like ROI or impressions and, return on marketing investment and analytics, etc. Basically, like as he says, mujhe sirf ye matlab hai ki, like, I literally spent 500 rupees, what did I get back? So what he noticed is he started getting almost 100 orders a day. So, you can imagine that, even though it's serving possibly only one community, within, let's assume Mumbai largely, but he was able to, dramatically start getting new orders, despite that business being 100 years old, by the way. So it's a pre-independence business. So in some sense, so you're seeing all kinds of, artisans, creators, businesses thrive now. And we think, as I said, it was earlier, definitely it was restricted, I would say, to the early adopters, which were typically younger Gen Z entrepreneurs, creators like you. But now I think it's, pan-India. We have creators, in fact, one of our businesses, which is an e-commerce business, actually was doing their consumer visits. They went to Ora in UP. I don't know how many of you know where it is. It's near Banaras. They found 50 creators there, in a town like that. And, not only that, the creators themselves have realized that I can't be the 7th creator on beauty or the 9th creator on fashion. So there are people who are, even, for example, there's a creator who's helping people figure out what's the right religious itinerary, etc., when you want to tour that part of the world. So I think people are figuring ways out, understanding the platform. The good part is, again, language is no barrier. Now we have content in Oriya and Assamese and Bhojpuri as well, which obviously get a lot of eyeballs. It's no longer English or Hindi centric. So I think things have changed in some sense. Internet and, of course, social media truly democratizes access, I would say. Aspirations are also a lot now. All of these people want to build businesses which are not only for their, as they say, gali and mohalla, but pure sheher and, desh. And in some cases, even go outside the country. So I think clearly, all of these are very ripe for, I would say, very robust digital-first India and Bharat, which will truly, I would say, help the next generation of entrepreneurs and creators. So I think, the other one, sorry, I forgot to mention, is also AI, right, which is there somewhere. I think no meeting or no conversation can happen without AI being, spoken about. So I think we are seeing a lot of AI tools which will actually help, create assets, run ads, etc., which we anyway do. But I'll give you an example. The latest one I saw was where there's an AI dubbing tool. It's launched now for Hindi, Portuguese, and Spanish, I think. So what happens is if I speak in English, it will fluently translate that into Hindi. So we literally had our founder, Mark Zuckerberg, speak to us in Hindi. And then it switched to Spanish, etc. So what it does for creators is I can be a Tamil creator. I don't need to know every language. But imagine the power if, let's say, even if a woman creator wants to sell Kanchipuram saris tomorrow, it can actually get dubbed in every single language in India over time, and you will start reaching audiences. So I guess, yeah, so that's the other, leveler which will certainly start, really bringing talent to the fore and not get hindered by things like barriers like language.
I did try it with one of my videos the other day, the translations, and it was so eerie to see it as well because it's so new. Like, it was changing the language so smoothly, how it
Even
covered.
lip sync, by the way.
Yeah, like my whole video was Hindi and then it turned it into English and I retained the jokes. I was surprised.
Okay, let's segue to, how do you think people are making money? Because, to your point and what you said, your parents asked, I'm saying, of course, by the way, even my mother still doesn't understand what I do at Meta, because she was like, what do you do? I mean, what is there to do? People put stuff there. So I think, it's always hard to explain to parents. But how do you think, people are balancing creativity with making money because they also want to, obviously make this a livelihood in some sense?
I think, like I mentioned, of course, there are some who enter this economy very short-sighted and they think that life is going to change in a day. And sometimes it can, like they can go viral very quickly, but then sustaining it, like I mentioned, is very difficult. And people have realized that it is a balancing act. You have to balance it with your creativity, constant and consistent sort of supply of good content has to be there. And then, of course, you work with brands and you work with platforms to generate revenues and you develop products or you talk about products, depends on which route you go. And I think there has been a lot of information sharing with that. I think what's good is that a lot of creators do share, things that they have learned over the years with newer creators on how to make these revenues, how to talk to brands. But I do believe that, of course, in the next coming years, there has to be a lot more education in these terms, and I think it will happen because of how seriously this economy is being taken right now. That's the only, place I feel like there is a gap in terms of that sort of financial, even education, how to read contracts, how to determine what is a good, deal for you, how to choose an agency, who represents you, do you represent yourself, and if you do, then how do you manage that? I think those are kinds of things, and of course, intellectual properties, and now AI. I think it complicates, it is a bit complicated than a lot of people would like to think. And of course, to sort of navigate that, you need to educate yourselves in all these aspects, not just the creative bits. And honestly speaking, this is also where I feel sometimes it's really hard. But I feel that, overall, this is where we need to, as creators especially, focus right now because it is such a vast, space right now and so much can happen. The possibilities are endless. And sort of intertwining commerce with this creativity is obviously a way we see, but it is a difficult path to navigate. But a lot of people have obviously done it, and there are so many examples that have been set by amazing people, creators who have built brands from scratch, creators who have now been making amazing, huge projects. And putting their name and their stamp on it, I think that credibility is definitely increased. And a lot of creators, in fact, are now joining this community and this economy because they want to start business and because they look at it not just as like, oh, another art medium and I'm an artist, but a lot of people are actually joining it as a business prospect, which I think is pretty cool to see. And I see, I kind of also like the way they navigate this space because they're very business forward. Let me read my analytics. Let me go through my, how many people join me, which reel performed the best. I'm not one of those people. I don't work like that. But obviously there are, and those are the kind of people I try to learn from a lot of times. And Arun, in that case now, I would like to ask you a question. What, as a platform, are you doing, to help creators, small, big? What kind of unique opportunities are being created for them? This is obviously a very selfish question.
Yeah, no, that's a large question as well because I think, so as I said, see, one is we are trying to build bridges with businesses. For example, like as I said, how do you get creator discovery easier for businesses, which is that whole creator marketplace in some sense where I can, if I'm running a beauty business, I can just filter for beauty, filter which region, within that again, who are premium, who talk to premium audiences, or let's assume mass audiences, etc. Secondly, I think, we've also, at the the dubbing I spoke about, for example, on English and Hindi. So how are you trying to make that easier? Over time, I'm pretty sure that this will already, this will come in many more, Indian languages. Equally, I don't know, I mean, how many of you know this? So Meta AI that, we have, which you can, you can ask Meta AI for answers. I'm sure many of you have already used Meta AI because India has the largest user base, by the way, on a daily basis, because the icon that you see both on Instagram, WhatsApp, etc., you can ask questions. You can also chat with it. You'll actually hear Deepika Padukone's voice. So she's the voice of Meta AI in some sense, right?
I have a crush on Deepika, so thank you for making that happen.
We shall tell Ranveer that, okay? Yeah, so I think, or equally, I think, across industries. See, because in some sense for us, we have businesses that span industries, right? So everyone today, I would say, has presence as well as, advertises, because, most discovery happens on our platforms, right? So typically, like, there are intent platforms and discovery platforms. How I think all the Meta platforms, and largely, whether if I look at Facebook, Instagram, it's a discovery platform, meaning you're just browsing something and you find something. So we find that at a global scale, actually close to 9 out of 10 discoveries happen on Meta. And that's when you end up buying a new brand, because it's not that, you'll go and search for something, or even like go to an e-commerce site and actually hunt for it because you don't even know it exists. So I think a lot of new, and when I say new, it's not new to world brands completely, it could be even a new offering from existing brands as well. Let's say a new Maybelline mascara, etc. I mean, unless you find a way to tell the user that this exists, she's never going to search for it. So I think in that sense, so while we span across industries, one thing the creator economy has also, I would say, as I said, looking at the opportunities that are available, people have actually modeled themselves or have become experts, I would say, into different industries. So we have today experts on food, experts on fashion, experts on travel. So for example, it's quite amazing to see it from this side, right, on how you see India evolve as well, and how businesses also equally evolve to leverage creators. So, I don't know how many of you know this, for example, Maruti launched, their car first, with a creator who created a music, I would say, music creation, on Reels using the sound of that car. So he almost created a drum beat equivalent, and then he reviewed the car. He was, obviously on, high terrain, this, that, and obviously got a lot more inquiries than, the awareness index was like way over even what they had estimated. So I think I think what we are trying to do is to make sure, as I said, we find avenues where creators are able to, work with businesses, creator equally get tools on the other side, like the dubbing thing I spoke to you about, or edits and stuff, which are new apps again to edit seamlessly and land reels, etc. So these are things that I think we are focused on. And this, of course, works for small, medium, large, anyone.
Of course, and I would like to say that all this discovery on Meta is making me, so I make my money on Meta and then I spend my money on Meta. All my shopping is happening on Meta because of these discoveries, Arun. So I'm not sure if I'm very happy about that. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing light on what all you've been up to.
No, and equally, I just wanted to ask you a couple of things, right? So like, one is, we are seeing India's cultural wave, of course, also from smaller towns like we discussed. So is there any, do you think that any smaller town creators have reached out to you, or have you been inspired by any of them, before I segue to the other question?
Yes, oh my God, so many. Like I said, especially in the pandemic, I saw so many people come up with such unique talents and passions. I think they were not getting the opportunity with like the daily grind. I think they finally found time to reveal their real talents. I love, I'm sure you've seen this young boy who's a delivery guy. And then he does all these get ready with me reels, and he's so sassy and so much, there's so much attitude. I love him. There's also these two little girls. I think the account is called Registani Ladkiyan, and they have this very slow content where they talk about just life or things that they think about as young girls, which actually are quite deep. Then there is this new girl that I've found, this new woman. I think the account name is Life of Pooja. And she talks about her life after, marriage and after a child, and how she thought her life would go a different way, and then the way it is now. And another one that I would love to talk about is this lady called Sonali. I think she's from Kolhapur. She's a fabulous makeup artist. She got her viral moment because she recreated Rihanna's makeup look from Ambani's wedding, I think. And so much talent, you know. I think there's so many accounts that I don't even remember the names of. There's so many dog accounts I follow and people who are doing some amazing work. I think the beauty is that, you know, I wouldn't have found a 90-year-old uncle who sings beautifully sitting somewhere in a village if it wasn't for platforms like these. So that is something I feel like is the beauty of the internet.
No, amazing. And I think let's segue from small town India to global. See, I think we've seen a lot of trends on our platform, right? So like at the higher end, I would say like, you know, where we are seeing a lot more music collabs, for example. So whether it's Daljit with, you know, Saviti for the song Kutti, King with Nick Jonas for Maan Meri Jaan, you know, Arijit and Ed Sheeran, I'm sure many of you know. And equally, even other trends have gone global, right? So we've seen the Ahsoka makeup trend, you know, with creators in Indonesia, Nigeria, Slovakia actually trying it out. Creators in Japan, I don't know how many of you noticed this, were lip syncing to dialogues from Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. And, you know, so like a lot of foreign creators again have started creating, you know, reels for Indian languages and Indian audiences. So in some sense, the world is embracing, you know, all things they see. So what do you think Indian creators and brands can do to take our stories global? Because we are the land of stories in some sense, you know, and which is what even the government is focused on, you know, with events like Waves, etc., saying that a lot of the, you know, stories across, you know, our states, you know, truly define, you know, our culture.
Yeah, I think what we should do is own it. Like, we need to own our stories, our roots, our diversity, and obviously that's happening a lot, like I mentioned. But a lot has to happen, especially also from the advertisers, brand side, you know, as well, because a lot of times we get briefs which are the same brief that they would have probably sent to people and influencers sitting in America and sitting in the UK, and oh, wear a white outfit and your hair must be neat and clean and this and that. Of course, there are, you know, regular hygiene checks, but there are sometimes things which just make it all very generic and the same. And then, you know, a lot of times, which I tell this to brands a lot, is that don't make your campaign the same way that okay, you're hiring 50 influencers and content creators to do this campaign and all 50 videos are just going to look the same. That I find very sad, because that doesn't give the creators as well the opportunity to really showcase who they are, what they want to talk about, how they want to talk about the product, because everybody has a unique approach. And I think when that unique approach is being sort of walked upon and being like, okay, no, we just want you to do it this way, I think that's where sometimes, you know, brands need to open their ears to creators as well, because creators are sort of working with these platforms on a regular basis and working on it on a regular basis, and they know what works, what is it that my audiences want, what do they ask of me. And I think that sort of creative liberty is actually something I've seen go away over the years. I feel like everybody's into this. We used to get, as a content creator, obviously I'm talking about myself, I used to get like about 10 to 15 days to work on a video. Now that has gone to like 2 days. We need it in 2 days. Now you can't expect someone to write and create and shoot and edit. Of course, things are happening and we make it happen, but it's not something, a content piece that even I'm going to be really proud of, right? And of course, it does come down to livelihood in a way, and it's a job. But I feel this is what I would urge brands and creators to do, is to retain that unique factor that separates you from everybody. This is something I tell creators as well, that you must have something that only you do. Of course, be a part of all the trends, be a part of every global wave that's happening, but at the same time, you should bring to the table something that is only you bring and is unique to you, and people can sort of recognize, oh, this is so her, and that, you know, I see it, I see the change. And I feel like globally as well, these are the trends. Obviously, we have already seen so many trends from India that are being taken over globally and being accepted and being participated in. All the Rasoda and Yash Raj's remakes. Music is obviously the biggest factor, one of the biggest ones. Then there are dance choreographies. There are also different random brain rot trends that, you know, originate from India as well. So I do feel that India, as being, you know, obviously one of the biggest users of these platforms and our big population and everything else, we do have the power to bring our, stories to the table. We just need to own them and obviously, be proud of it and not let brands or any platforms or anybody around us tell us otherwise that, we shouldn't be doing that, because I think that is what creates that long-lasting and meaningful impact that we were discussing.
3 tips you would give a young creator, who's starting and wondering if there's so many creators, is there room for my voice?
Of course, there's always room. Like I said, you'll always find an audience. It can take time sometimes, I think. So that's why the number one, tip I would give is patience. It requires a lot of patience. You may see some virality very quickly, but then, like I said, for it to happen again, it may take time. So that constant telling yourself that I just need to wait it out and just need to constantly churn content is there. That patience is required. And the second point is consistency. I don't mean that you need to make a video every day, of course. Platforms do. They are happy with that, but I don't believe that you should just, as a creator, just make a video every day, even if you're not proud of it. As long as you're proud of it, I think that's fine, and not to say that every video has to be perfect, but keep making content that is true to you, that keeps reminding the audiences of you, because obviously the way, our lives are and our doom scrolling habits are, obviously it's very easy to sort of get lost between the different, the crowd that there is right now. So it's very important to consistently give that content to your audiences. And the last point is definitely the one that I just mentioned, having a unique factor that that is very you, that pushes you, that, is your storytelling, is the way you edit, is the way you put music, is the topics that you talk about. It can be anything, but it's something that is you. And I think these are the 3 pointers that I would definitely, tell younger creators or people who are trying to get in, because I don't think there's an age bar to this anyway. I see so many amazing content creators who have joined who are much, much older and are just fabulous at what they do.
Awesome. I think, in fact, Zeenat Aman is back as well, right?
Yes, I love reading her captions. I think another thing that I don't see on the internet is language. I think we've all forgotten how to talk and write. So I think Zeenat Aman's captions really remind me of that time. That is something I'm trying to work on.
Okay. Yeah, so, last question from my side. So 5 years from now, where do you hope India's creator ecosystem will be?
Booming, making lots of money, and we'll be sitting in much bigger rooms, and making amazing tons of money. Even the microest of creators, I think, stable revenue stream. I'm hoping a much, much, much organized sector. All the rules and the regulations, everything, a lot of education in this economy. I think that's what I expect, but lots of money, yes, of course.
Okay. So thank you, Dolly, for sharing your journey and your perspective so candidly. I think from culture to commerce and India to the world, this conversation really captures the transformation that's already underway in India's creator ecosystem. What began as, I would say, a space for self-expression has become truly a industry by itself and a driver of economic opportunity. And as you rightly point out, it's the young and the old, small town, large town, there's no divide. So creativity is really shaping culture and shaping livelihoods. And it's redefining, I guess, how we continue to lead the world's stories with authenticity and, take our stories to not just every part of the country, but also to the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Arun, is it possible to hold you to one last question?
Yeah.
Before you go, of course. First of all, thank you for doing everything that you do for us, for the platform. As creators, we are thriving. My question is, if you could collaborate with one creator, Indian creator, of course, for a day, who would you collaborate with, and why is it not me?
No, of course it can be you, but I don't think I am great at this genre.
Okay, barring me, apart from me, who would you like to work with?
No, I think, if you just go back, I think all of us have a multitude of interests, right? So, if I have to pick 2, 3, I think it'll be like food and, so like I like to cook. So, you know.
So which food creator are you obsessing over these days? Whose content are you watching?
See, it changes, right? Depending on the recipes you get. I wouldn't
Do you
say
not
one.
remember names?
No, of course I
Like
do.
a lot of us do with content these days. We're like, we don't remember who that creator was, but I love
You know,
their
I'll tell you,
videos.
Sanjot from Bombay, for example, is something that, you know, I love authentic Punjabi khana. So, yeah, so I think, you know, yeah, someone like him. I also love cocktails. So, like, I try to experiment with, you know, like, in fact, every bar I go to, I try and
Chemistry
ask,
lab.
you know,
Yes.
saying, what do you, you know, which herb is in or what do you do. So I think, yeah, and you discover a lot more. See, earlier, I'll give an example, even for me, even though I'm on the platform side, the only access to such information was either, you know, recipe books or the internet, you know, or I guess, you know, like even if you do have time, you know, like you just ask the bartender on what did you put. But now you're just seeing a dime a dozen, you know, content. And the third one for me is fitness or travel, right? So I think too many interests, you know, and of course the algorithm also, you have to confuse the algorithm a bit, right?
Don't worry, we all share the interests. Sometimes we just don't share the access. That's all. But thank you, Arun.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so
Yeah,
much for
but-
this lovely chat. And thank you, everybody who's here and listening and a part of this.
Yeah,
We
thank you all.
had a great time. Thank you.